Good evening, everyone. As senior co-chairs of the Archipelago Caribbean Association, it is our absolute honor to welcome you all tonight as we gather to celebrate a remarkable milestone. A mural that pays tribute to over a century of partnership between the Bahamas and the College of St. Benedict and St. John's University.
This evening, we reflect on a legacy built on excellence, resilience, and shared history. For more than 100 years, Bahamian students have enriched our campuses, communities, and the world beyond. Over 1,600 students from the Bahamas has left an indelible mark on this institution, contributing not only through academic achievements, but also by shaping vibrant student organizations, cultural events, and lasting friendships. This mural, while a powerful symbol of that collective spirit, captures only a fragment of their story.
Beyond the colors and images, this work of art shows a transformative impact of education and community. It symbolizes the vision of a future built on the foundations of past accomplishments and ongoing dedication to leadership and service. The mural invites us to remember the efforts of every student, mentor, and community member who has contributed to this legacy greatly.
We are especially honored to dedicate this tribute in memory of Phil Galanis and Telzina Coakley, two extraordinary individuals whose passion and commitment have inspired countless lives. Their legacy lives on in the students they've mentored, the communities they've uplifted, and the spirit of collaboration and excellence that we celebrate tonight.
Our sincerest gratitude extends to President Brian Brees, our esteemed guest speaker, St. John's alum, and former trustee Prince Wallace, the McCarthy Center, the ACA Executive Board and club members, and everyone within the CSB and SJU community for their support and presence. Your dedication to honoring our shared history ensures that the inspiration of those who came before us will continue to guide future generations.
As we admire this memorable mural, let us celebrate the past,
embrace the present,
and look forward to an even brighter future.
One where our collective efforts continue to shape a legacy of progress and unity.
Thank you for being here, and may this evening inspire us all to build on the remarkable foundation of our shared journey.
Please join us in giving a warm welcome to the distinguished Dr. Brittany Merritt Nash.
Dr. Merritt Nash is an assistant professor of history at CSB SJU and serves as the ACA's advisor. She is our resident expert on colonialism and the rich relationship between the Bahamas and these two institutions. Without further ado, Dr. Brittany Merritt Nash.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brittany Merritt Nash, and I'm an assistant professor of history at St. Ben's and St. John's. For the last 3 years, I've been researching the history of the relationship between St. Ben's, St. John's, and the Bahamas. I won't go into too much detail about the history because we now have an amazing mural that commemorates the history. And I invite you all to view the mural after the remarks are over, if you haven't already, which is on the first floor of Sexton at the bottom of the stairs. But what I will say about the history is that for more than 100 years, the Bahamas and St. Ben's have had an extraordinary relationship. There are stories to tell about Benedictines in the Bahamas, the churches and the schools that they built, and the relationships that they fostered. There are so many stories to tell about the thousands of Bahamian people who attended Benedictine schools and institutions, the ways in which they transformed the Bahamas as the country approached majority rule and independence, the effects that they had on the Bahamian education system, and the leadership roles that so many Bennies and Johnnies have taken in the Bahamas, both past and present. And finally, there are even more stories to tell about how Bahamian students have shaped our institutions and have made St. Ben's, St. John's the places that they are today. More students from the Bahamas have graduated from St. Ben's and St. John's than any college or university in the world outside of the Bahamas. So this really is a unique and historic relationship. The group of people who helped bring this mural to life wanted to commemorate this history and this relationship and wanted to make sure that everyone knows about it. So I'll talk briefly about the mural and thank those who were involved. So first of all, I have to acknowledge Elon White, because the mural was his idea. Elon is a junior at St. John's from the Bahamas, and he wanted to create a permanent installation to commemorate this history and the relationship. He approached Matt Lindstrom, the director of the McCarthy Center, with his idea, and Matt enthusiastically said, yes. The McCarthy Center asked me to supply the timeline and information for the mural for my research, and then Anastasia Nathy, a talented graphic designer, turned that into the design for the mural. We also had help from the St. Ben's St. John's Archives and Peggy Roski, who's here tonight, as well as the campus ministries, who supplied photos and additional information. And Anastasia, the coordinator from the McCarthy Center, provided the backbone for this project. She kept us all on track and shepherded the process from start to finish. So as you can see, this was a team effort. So please join me in thanking all who were involved. I also want to acknowledge that St. Ben's has a mural installation as well. Extending the Link students created this mural in 2023 to commemorate the long history of St. Ben's and St. John's students from the Bahamas who have attended our institutions. So I hope that if you haven't already, that you will visit the mural at St. Ben's as well. It's in the HCC building at St. Ben's. So as I mentioned before, the mural was Elon White's idea. He was not able to be here today, but he sent some remarks. And I should add, it's his birthday, so let's wish Elon a happy birthday. So right now, I'd like to invite Mr. Kobe Forbes, junior co-chair of the Archipelago Caribbean Association, to come forward and share Elon's words with you all.
Good evening, everyone. Though I am not present to celebrate this joyous occasion, I wanted to write some remarks to highlight and thank some of the amazing individuals who helped make this day possible. I would first like to thank Dr. Brittany Merritt Nash, whose work and research inspired me to come up with this idea to showcase our history so that fellow Bahamians and the larger community can learn about the amazing and rich history between the Bahamas and CSB SJU. Dr. Nash, your commitment to history and the love for the Bahamas has not gone unnoticed. And on behalf of all Bahamians, past and present, we say thank you. To Dr. Matt Lindstrom, who has been an incredible boss and someone I can consider a dear friend. Thank you for taking on all my ideas and pushing me to make them a reality. Your dedication to this mural, the study tour, and the McCarthy lecture has only inspired me, but has also given me a deep appreciation for the man you are. At this point, I would consider you an honorary Bahamian. Anastasia and Clarissa, thank you for your tireless work on the design and artwork of this mural. Thank you for putting up with Matt and I's constant changes and edits on this mural. Anastasia, I want to also thank you for your work in the McCarthy Center. It does not go unnoticed, and I'm sure I speak for all McCarthy employees when I say we greatly appreciate you and the work you do. Thank you. To all other stakeholders who played a part in making today possible, thank you. This is a testament to the deep relationship shared between the Bahamas and CSB SJU. I must also recognize two distinguished Bahamians whose generosity and influence has left an impacting imprint both on this institution and our homeland. Mr. Phil Galanis, a past trustee on our board and politician, and Ms. Tilzina Coakley, a trailblazer in education. Their tireless work to push Bahamians to a different level has only inspired me to do the same, but has also given me a great sense of gratitude, for it is on their shoulders that I stand today. This mural is a testament to the enduring partnership between the Bahamas and CSB SJU. It is a reminder to all who pass by that our cultures are interconnected, our histories intertwined, and our futures filled with promise. To the students, faculty, and community members who will walk these halls and see this mural daily, may it inspire you to embrace diversity, celebrate heritage, and continue to build bridges between nations. On behalf of the Bahamas and all who hold this moment dear, I extend my heartfelt thanks. May this mural stand as a beacon of unity and a tribute to the lasting legacy of Bahamians here at CSB SJU. Thank you.
Thank you, Kobe, for sharing Ilan's words. Now I want to turn my attention to those two great Bahamian alums who are featured on the mural and who we sadly lost last year, Telzina Coakley and Philip Galanis. I'll begin with Telzina Coakley. Telzina graduated from St. Ben's in 1962, and she took on many roles in her life. She was a teacher, a school administrator, a sister at St. Martin's Convent in Nassau, a civil servant, a businesswoman, a champion for women, an adoptive mother, an aunt, a friend, and a transformer of lives. There are many things I could say about Telzina, but what I'll emphasize tonight is her role in the St. Ben's Extension Program and her impact on Bahamian women. Telzina started the St. Ben's Extension Program in 1974, which allowed Bahamian students to earn their degrees by taking courses in Nassau and then spending one semester at St. Ben's and later St. John's. Telzina's efforts provided the opportunity for hundreds of Bahamians to earn bachelor's degrees. Many graduates of the extension program have told me, thank God for Telzina Coakley, because she gave them the urge and the confidence to pursue and to finish their degrees. One letter that I found in the archives at St. Ben's exemplifies this sentiment. In 1982, a Bahamian student named Anna wrote to Telzina from the St. Ben's campus during her one semester of residency here. She said in her letter, and I quote, "I thank you for everything you've done for me to enable me to get this far. If it was not for your insistence to join the program, remember all the excuses I made initially not to start? I never would have made it. After I started, you kept talking to me positively. Now, Anna, you could do that. You have a good brain. Girl, that's nothing for you to do, a sound student like you. All people like us lacked was opportunity." Telzina recognized that all Bahamian women lacked was opportunity, and she helped to make those opportunities happen. Because of her, so many Bahamian women were able to finish their college degrees. Telzina lived a truly extraordinary life. We'll talk more tonight about her legacies in the Bahamas, but I also want to acknowledge her incredible contributions to our institutions. She is someone who helped to sustain the relationship between St. Ben's, St. John's, and the Bahamas. She facilitated the arrival of hundreds, if not thousands, of Bahamian students to these campuses. And she is a key reason why so many people in the Bahamas have degrees from St. Ben's and St. John's. She was a gracious host to visitors from St. Ben's, St. John's at her home in Nassau. This is hospitality that I was privileged to experience during my many visits to her home in the 2 years before her death. She even let my toddler pick mangoes from her trees, and he still asks about her to this day. I share this story just to illustrate how she had this way of making everyone feel like family. It is no accident that St. Ben's awarded her the President's Medal twice, in 1979 and 2010, as well as the Lumen Vita Award in 1992, the Centennial Circle of Sisters Award from St. Ben's on behalf of all Bahamian alumni in 2013, and finally, the Sister Emmanuel Renner Award for service to the college in 2017. Next, I want to recognize the life and legacy of Philip Galanis, who graduated from St. John's in 1975. After graduating from St. John's and moving on to pursue graduate work, he returned to the Bahamas to work as an accountant and to contribute to his country. When Phil recorded his oral history with me in 2023, he told me that there was never any doubt that he would return to the Bahamas after he graduated from college. He said to me, and I quote, "I think we have a tremendous opportunity to make changes in the Bahamas. It is such a small country. You can really be impactful. I wanted to be a part of the development process. I wanted to." And I recognized that the only way you could do that is by coming back home and making a contribution. I did not see my education being achieved to benefit other countries. I wanted to be able to pay it forward here. And pay it forward he did. We'll talk more tonight about how Phil contributed to his country. But I also want to emphasize how Phil paid his education forward here at our institutions and to Bahamian students who came after him at St. Ben's and St. John's. Throughout his life, Phil gave so much back to these institutions. He served on the St. Ben's St. John's Board of Trustees. He served as president of the Bahamas Alumni Association. He served as a member of the St. John's Leadership Council, and he served as a Bahamian student recruitment ambassador. He was a mentor to Bahamian students past and present. He provided advice and a touch of home during his many visits to campus. He advocated on behalf of St. Ben's and St. John's to the Bahamian government for scholarships to make sure that Bahamian students could continue to come here and earn their degrees just like he did. He really did pay his education forward in so many ways. He also helped to bring Prime Minister Davis of the Bahamas to St. John's for the McCarthy Center lecture last year, becoming the first sitting head of state to visit our campuses. And when people from here visited the Bahamas, he was an incredible host. He was a key facilitator for the presidential delegations from St. Ben's and St. John's that travel to the Bahamas every year. And he welcomed anyone from St. Ben's, St. John's who visited the Bahamas with open arms, and he helped to open doors. When the McCarthy Center brought a group of students to the Bahamas last year, he helped us to plan the itinerary and locate accommodations and line up guest speakers and hosted a farewell dinner for us on our last night. His hospitality was legendary. I still remember fondly the dinners he took me and my husband to when we visited Nassau, and the hours of conversation and advice that he generously shared with us. In March, he'll be awarded the Father Walter Rieger Award posthumously, which is the highest award given by the St. John's Alumni Association for service to the institution. Both Telsina and Phil were extraordinary people and friends, and they'll be deeply missed by our campus communities. Now I'd like to invite Ms. Daisha Gray, a junior at St. Ben's and junior co-chair of the Archipelago Caribbean Association, to commemorate Telsina and Phil's lives and legacies in the Bahamas and to dedicate the mural in their memory. Thank you, Daisha.
Good evening, everyone. Telsina Coakley and Philip Galanis both lived lives that exemplify what it means to be a Benny and a Johnny. They were visionaries, leaders, and most importantly, they were servants of their people. They transformed lives both here at CSB and SJU and in the Bahamas. Their contributions were not just moments in time, but legacies that continue to shape our nation. They both gave back to CSB and SJU, honoring the values instilled in them during their time here. Most importantly, they were nation builders, architects of a better Bahamas, pioneers who laid foundations that generations continue to build upon. Telsina Coakley, a champion of education and nation building. Even before the Bahamas gained independence, Telsina was working tirelessly on government's commissions to help shape a sovereign nation. After 1973, she played a crucial role in the Ministry of Education, where she developed school curricula that still influence Bahamian education today. A country emerging from colonial rule must build from scratch. Telsina was instrumental in that effort, ensuring that education became the cornerstone of national progress. She empowered Bahamian teachers, helping them earn certifications and degrees, strengthening the education system, and ultimately shaping the lives of thousands of children. Beyond education, she worked in the Ministry of Tourism, leading training programs that enhanced hospitality and expanded tourism as a vital part of our community. As a lifelong educator, she fought for literacy and reading programs in the Bahamas, believing that knowledge was the key to empowerment. Later in life, she transitioned into the insurance industry, continuing her legacy of development and service to her nation. Phil Galanis, a visionary leader and public servant. Phil was a dedicated public servant, a bridge builder in Bahamian politics, serving in Parliament from 1997 to 2002. He believed in collaboration across party lines for the betterment of the nation. As an economist and accountant, he led the Bahamas Trade Commission and was our nation's chief negotiator in talks with the World Trade Organization, ensuring that the Bahamas had a seat at the global economic table. For over a decade, he used his voice in his weekly columns for the Nassau Guardian, educating the public on history, economics, and politics. He believed that knowledge empowered citizens to demand better from their leaders and their country. Even in his final days, he was working on a project to alleviate poverty and improve food security, always striving for a Bahamas where every citizen had the chance to thrive. Phil never stopped giving back. His entire life was dedicated to making the Bahamas stronger, fairer, and better for future generations. A lasting legacy and what they mean to the Bahamas. Telsina Coakley and Phil Galanis had servant hearts. They saw a need and stepped up. They believed in their people. They worked tirelessly to uplift their nation. Because of them, our education system is stronger. Because of them, our tourism industry is better. Because of them, our nation is richer not just in economy, but in knowledge, service, and pride. They are proof that even a small country can produce giants, visionaries whose influence stretches beyond our shores. They remind us that faith, self-belief, hard work, and determination can change a nation. In October 2023, I interviewed Phil Galanis and asked what advice he would give current students at CSB and SJU. He told me, "I think the most important thing that I would want to say to them is that they must pay very close attention to their studies. It's very critically important because this is the time when many of the attitudes, opinions, and the things that will carry them through life will be found. This is where they are going to really be able to concretize or crystallize things that they think they believe from the things that they actually believe." As we stand here today, commemorating their lives and their legacies, I ask you this: who will fill their shoes? Who will rise up as the next nation builders? Who will dedicate their lives to education, governance, economic empowerment, and national service? Today, we dedicate this Bahamian mural to their memory, a testament to their impact and a symbol of what is possible when individuals dedicate themselves to a purpose greater than themselves. Let this mural serve as a reminder to future generations of the power of service, the importance of education, and the legacy of leadership. Please join me in a moment of silence as we honor Telsina Coakley and Philip Galanis, two extraordinary alums, two great Bahamians, and two lifelong servants of their people. Thank you, everyone. Now I would like to invite CSB and SJU President Brian Brees to make some remarks.
Good evening. Good evening. It is so good to be here. I thank you for being here, and thank you to Kanan, Destiny, Kobe, Brittany, and Daisha, all who have spoken so beautifully about Telsina and Phil. It is humbling to be here, to stand here among friends, students, faculty, and staff, to celebrate a story more than a century old, making clear a story of connection, of community, and shared legacy. Today, as we dedicate this mural, this stunning mural, in honor of the lives of Telsina Coakley and Phil Galanis, we're reminded again of the deep and lasting ties between the College of St. Benedict, St. John's University, and the Bahamas. A bond that began in the 1890s when Benedictine monks first traveled from St. John's Abbey to the islands, carrying with them the spirit of service and community that continues to shape us in the Bahamas today. As an aside, when I first met the Archbishop and the Prime Minister in 2 separate meetings in my first trip to the Bahamas, they both told a story in their own words, and they gave credit for independent rule in the Bahamas to the Benedictines. They said that the monks and the sisters and the students of St. Ben's, St. John's, and the faculty and staff taught the Bahamians a conscience and how to do this work peacefully. What an amazing relationship that we represent here today. As you've heard, more than 1,600 Bahamian students have called St. Ben's and St. John's home, and I'm told by our local scholar that it may be as many as 3,000 students when you count all the students that were impacted. But this kind of presence has left an indelible mark on our campuses. And these graduates have returned to the Bahamas to lead and to serve and inspire. They've taken form and shape in so many different ways as educators, entrepreneurs, artists, public servants, visionaries who've shaped communities and futures. And today, we pause to remember 2 such visionaries, Talzina and Phil. Now, I should say, before I go on, that I'm wearing this shirt today in recognition of Talzina and Phil because in one of our trips to the Bahamas, Phil took a few of us, Tom, Carol, myself, on a field trip to Phil's tailor, Tailor Mike. And I'm not there to make any decisions about what shirt because Carol's making those calls. But I said, I want one like the one Phil has on. After I picked it out, he told me that the Prime Minister had the exact same shirt. So I'm wearing this shirt for Talzina and Phil, and it really feels good to have it on. Talzina Coakley was not just a Benny alumna. In my short 2.5 years of knowing her, she was something much more than a Benny alumna. She was indeed a trailblazer, a woman of vision, courage, and profound faith. She believed in education's power to lift up not just people, but entire communities. Her creation of the Benedict University College opened doors for countless students, as we've heard, weaving a lasting bridge between our campuses and the Bahamas. Her legacy is alive today in the hopes and dreams and the achievements of every student that she empowered, and even people that weren't students, that just knew her for a short time. I'll never forget my time with Talzina. 2 things were always true: her love of St. Ben's, St. John's, and the Bahamas, and when you were with her, you always knew and felt that you were the only person that mattered. The way she attended to you, listened to you, and inspired. Just incredible. And there's Phil Galanis, a Johnny through and through. Phil's life was a master class in leadership, humility, and service. From his days as a student in the early 70s and the decades of dedication as a trustee, mentor, ambassador, and all the roles that you heard him described earlier for St. Ben's and St. John's, Phil embodied the Benedictine spirit. He had the rare gift, the ability to make everyone he met feel seen, valued, and a part of something greater. His warmth was legendary, his integrity unwavering, and his smile, that big, beautiful smile, infectious. Talzina and Phil's lives were not just about individual achievement, they were about community, about lifting up others and building something that lasts for purpose and meaning. And that's what the Mural stands for, made possible through the vision of St. John's Jr., as you heard, Elon White, and the scholarship of Professor Brittany Merritt Nash. This mural is a living testament, a connection. It tells the story of generations of Bahamians who have enriched our campuses, challenged our thinking, and expanded our own sense of community. It's also a reminder that these connections ripple outward into classrooms, boardrooms, homes, and neighborhoods across the Bahamas and far beyond. So I'd like to add my voice to thanks to Elon for his vision and leadership for bringing this history to life so that future Bennies and Johnnies can know that history and celebrate that history and learn from it. And for ensuring that this history, story of partnership, perseverance, and purpose will never fade. So let's give Elon one more round of applause. And I want to conclude by inviting us as we commemorate this mural today, let's do more than reflect. Let's commit. Commit to honoring the legacy of Talzina and Phil by continuing to build bridges, by fostering spaces of learning and connection and community, and by remembering the relationships we learn from here at St. Ben's St. John's are not bound by time or boundaries. They're part of a living, breathing legacy that continues to shape who we are. And to our Bahamian students in this beautiful space here today, you are a part of this legacy. Each one of you. You carry forward the dreams of those who came before you, and you have the power to shape what comes next. So we thank you for carrying that legacy forward. Let this mural be a reminder not of just where we've been, but where we're going together in perpetuity. Thank you for being here, and thank you for recognizing the great history in these two luminary visionaries of St. Ben's and St. John's. Thank you.
Thank you for those remarks, President Brees. For our final speaker this evening, I would like to invite St. John's alum and former trustee, Prince Wallace, to give his remarks. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Wallace.
When we look at the mural, what does it really say to us? It shows us a number of individuals Good. It shows us a number of individuals there. But there is considerably more in that mural than the individuals. It tells us who we are. And if you ever ask yourselves, who am I? Who are we? Who are you? Who is Phil Galanis? Who is Talzina Coakley? So, in the Bahamas, we celebrate who we are on two distinct days, Boxing Day and New Year's Day, right? And there's the call out, who are we? Wait. Wait, you getting ahead of yourself. Yeah, right. Wait. We're going to do it all together. We're going to honor the Saxons. I'm Valley. Okay. So he's going to call out, who are we? And we're going to all say together, Saxons, and we'll do that 5 times. Wait. Then, hey, they had a clean sweep, okay? Then we'll do Valley, but we also want to acknowledge the other groups. We're not going to cheer them, but they exist. One family. Okay. All right. And I also have to acknowledge the group our granddaughters rush with, Barabbas and the tribe. And then there's Roots and others. Okay. But for brevity, we're just going to go with Saxons and Valley. So You're going to call it out. Who are we? And everyone stand up. Get up. Let's do this right. He's going to say, who are we? And we're going to say, Saxons 5 times. Okay.
For those who don't know, here's the cadence. Ba-dum bum 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 bum. Ba-dum bum 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 bum. All right? Okay? Who are we? Who are we?
Saxons. Okay, you got it?
That's what we're gonna do. All right?
Let's go.
Also, when we saying the, we're not saying the, we're not saying T-H-E. We're putting our Bahamian dialect on there. The. D-A. Okay? All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3. Who are we?
Saxon.
Who are we?
The 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 Saxon. No. Up. We got Valley, come on. Yes. Yes.
Let's show us that ID. We all ready? 1, 2, 3, let's go. Who are we?
The Valley. The Valley. The Valley. The Valley. The Valley. For today, there's only one valley. That's an inside joke. So, okay. But you look at that mural, and it's asking the same question. Who are we? That is the question. It's not just those individuals. And that mural is made up of not just big stories, but thousands and upon thousands of small stories about who we are. We are Benedictines. You are Benedictine. Galanis, Phil Galanis is Benedictine. Telsina Coakley is Benedictine. What does it mean, though? I take all what it means for being a Benedictine and put it in 5 words. To love and to serve. That is what we do. And that's what Benedictines have done for our country. And that is what is expected of us today. Now, when I was a little boy, about 10, 11 years old, the Sisters of Charity who came with the Benedictines taught us. And for some reason, I remembered this story. And it's a biblical one. And it was about a man, a Jewish man, that was traveling. The nuns are telling this story. And he was beaten, robbed, and left to die. And along comes another man, and he was described as a priest. And as a matter of fact, the nun said that he walked on the other side of the road. And then another man came by, and he was a Levi. And that was to signify that that individual was probably a blood relative of his. And then comes another man who was described as a sworn enemy with the obligation to end this man's life. But he was the one that took care of him. And he left and told the innkeeper, and this is from 10, 11 years old, that take care of this man, and on my return I will pay you. I tell you that story because there are thousands and thousands of stories behind that mural. That's Benedictine. To love and to serve. That is who we are. And I'm speaking now to the younger generation. That is what is expected of you. To love and to serve. I'll tell you another story. It has to do with someone in this room who is truly Benedictine. I'm telling you this story because his wife was not able to be here tonight. But it's the story of to love and to serve. And it relates to when Phil Galanis was a little boy, 8 years old. This missionary, he would come over to our house and says, Miss, I won't say the name, but will you take us to the beach? That relationship has endured from 8 years old, and it still continues even beyond the death of Phil Galanis. That's Benedictine. That is who we are. And that is what is expected of us. And the Benedictines provide us with education so we can be at the top of our game in order to take care of each other, even if they don't match up with us. Like that original story the Sisters of Charity told us 10, 11 years old. That is what is expected of each one of you. And that's why you're becoming educated. Not to become necessarily multimillionaire, but that's good. But, so, I just want to leave us with this last message. And that is, as long as you're here, you want to start practicing what it means. And you tell others what it means. And you can tell them the story that I learned as a 10, 11-year-old. So, on behalf of Phil, Talzina, and everyone else, to our young people, thank you. Continue on this path. Amen. I just want to mention this book. This book is Upon These Rocks. It's written by Coleman Barry, a monk from St. John's. And I'm excited about the book because he signed it, Coleman Barry, OSB. When I said that mural is made up of thousands and thousands of stories, this goes back to 1890. And it's exciting to read it. And I look at a picture and they said that's a picture of my grandmother and so on and so forth. It's in this book. Maybe we should have an additional printing of this book. But remember this. When you want to look for the little stories, they're in here. And some of them are funny, and some you want to cry. But it tells, this Benedictine tells us our story and what our parents and grandparents went through to get you here to where you are. Okay? Mr. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace, for your heartfelt remarks. We now invite you to view the mural, to continue enjoying refreshments, and to mingle and gather for the remainder of the evening. Thank you all for being here tonight.